In late July, Missouri state troopers walked into St. Louis County government headquarters and seized the cell phone of one of the most prominent Democratic officials in this solidly red state. 2 days later, a grand jury indicted Sam Page, the St. Louis County executive, acting as a special prosecutor. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, a Republican, secured 2 felony counts of stealing by deceit and 2 election law violations. For Bailey, bringing felony charges against the leader of the state's biggest blue stronghold added to the resume of a MAGA warrior who had already interviewed for a key position in President Donald Trump's administration. Less than 3 weeks later, Trump tapped Bailey to help run the FBI. He'll serve as co-deputy director with Dan Bongino, a former Secret Service agent and conservative podcast host. Bailey said he'll resign as Missouri's Attorney General to take the post. The case against Page was the latest in a string of legal strikes against Democrats by Bailey, bringing the full weight of the state on a political adversary. The charges turned on something mundane: the printing and mailing of flyers weeks before about a measure on the ballot in April. The election asked voters to give the county council the power to fire the county's department heads and its top attorney. Page spent taxpayer money to print and mail flyers outlining the measure. The flyer did not overtly tell voters to vote no, but it listed groups that opposed it and suggested that a yes vote would allow directors to be fired for political reasons. Documents filed in the case showed Page did not follow a county lawyer's advice to make some changes. Bailey alleged the flyer crossed the line from providing information to urging a no vote, which he said was an unlawful use of tax dollars. Grounds to seek felony charges. If convicted on the most serious count, Page could face prison time and fines. The playbook was familiar. Trump has talked about arresting other Democratic officials. Federal agents raided the home of John Bolton, a Trump critic. Bailey has called himself a defender of the rule of law. Page became county executive in 2019 after his predecessor was toppled in a corruption case. Page set St. Louis County on the aggressive end of Missouri's COVID-19 response, putting him at odds with state officials. Despite political battles, Page twice won countywide elections. Many have questioned the legitimacy of the case. A law professor called it a stretch, while a political scientist deemed the charges totally phony and politically motivated. Missouri has become a proving ground for Trump appointees, with several loyalists moving into key federal positions. As the state shifted right, races are decided in primaries that favor hardline candidates. Bailey's politicization of the Attorney General's office follows predecessors who launched into the U.S. Senate after being appointed to fill a vacancy. Bailey won a primary and general election. Within a week, he interviewed with Trump for U.S. Attorney General. With no Democrats holding statewide office, Bailey targeted Democratic officials in Missouri's largest cities. He pressured St. Louis's circuit attorney to resign and sought to remove the sheriff. He threatened an investigation into Kansas City's mayor over a social media post about an athlete. The mayor called Bailey's actions ineffective lawyering designed to drag people through the mud. Conversely, Bailey defended Republican state senators sued for falsely identifying a man as a shooter at a Super Bowl parade, arguing their posts were protected by legislative immunity.